are the people of Oregon finally fighting back to those weird found elsewhere prices. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, stores like Grocery Outlet, Ollie's, Big Lots, and really any discount retailer in their sales flyer and even on like their price tags in store, it'll say comparable to this pricing at other stores. And 99.9% of the time, it never actually says what these other stores are. Sometimes it'll say even like local stores, but it doesn't identify who. So, anyway, the Oregon Consumer Justice, which is a nonprofit consumer rights organization, has filed a lawsuit against Grocery Outlet, specifically about their elsewhere pricing. And they're saying that that fictitious elsewhere pricing violates state consumer protection laws. Now, the lawsuit was actually filed by 3 residents, and they claim that the California-based grocery chain misleads their customers through deceptive reference pricing practices, which they call inflated or straight out fabricated.
Wow.
And also note that these prices are without any identifying information as far as the actual competitor source, which that is a practice completely against claims of violation of Oregon law. Now, some examples that was mentioned in the lawsuit was one of the residents, they purchased oat milk at Grocery Outlet for $3.19, and on the price tag it listed the elsewhere price as $4.99. But that same product was actually on sale at Fred Meyer for $1.99. That's a pretty big difference.
Right. Yeah.
Another one bought a DiGiorno pizza for $5.99. The elsewhere price was listed as $8.99. The regular price at Fred Meyer is $3.99. And if you're not familiar with Oregon, Fred Meyer is kind of like the big grocery store chain. So it would make sense that wherever there was a grocery outlet, there was a Fred Meyer pretty close. The last one, which I always find this one comical because it involves Tide Pods. Okay. And so they purchased the Tide Pods for $12.99 at Grocery Outlet. The elsewhere price was $18.99, but the actual nearby competitors was $12.99 at Fred Meyer and $12.97 at Walmart. So they actually paid about the same price they would get it anywhere else. There was no actual like $6 worth of savings. So I just found this interesting. One of the greatest quotes, though, about this, it says, "While violations of the law, like the ones alleged in this action against Grocery Outlet, they may start as small dollar scams, but they disproportionately strip wealth from the people who can least afford it and make the marketplace less safe for all of Oregon's people." And I have to agree with this, that number one, we know this is a sales tactic, that it's the fear of missing out by seeing this is the price elsewhere and it's so much higher. So you better buy it now because, Grocery Outlet, they're similar to a Big Lots. It's all closeouts. It's all discontinued like scents or flavors. So they're not going to carry things in stock all the time. They may have similar products, but it's not the exact same products all the time. So by using this elsewhere pricing, it's what really encourages people to buy now. Now, if you find out that these reference prices are just made up or maybe aren't even actually local competitors, it really kind of puts a different context on it. And like you said, it's a small dollar scam. So you may be inadvertently paying $1 or $2 more at Grocery Outlet versus some other local stores and not even realize it because, to be honest, most people don't know their prices.
No.
You know what I mean?
Like I'm that person though that has like a good bearing on what I buy where based on how different retailers price things.
Yeah.
So like for me, I know where I want my vegetables to come from. It's usually Sprouts or a Whole Foods because a lot of times I can get the better sale items there and the quality is worth me spending even a little bit more per pound on some things. Frozen vegetables, I don't buy them at Kroger because price per ounce is actually higher than Whole Foods for their frozen vegetables, which is wild
Bizarre.
to think that that's cheaper.
Yep.
So I am that person that knows like my price points for things in different locations based on brand, retailer. And so like not having the direct competitor's store or location, even like for some of these items would raise flags for me, but I'm the exception. Whereas everybody else is like, kind of, you put trust in it. If they're willing to put it in print, usually think that there's some, legitimacy to it.
But there's some substance to it, that it's accurate. Now, I'm always telling people to know their prices, or at least to know how much you value something is kind of a better way to do it. Because if I
Yeah.
have 20 boxes of cereal at home, I'm only willing to spend $1 for another box of cereal. But if
Yeah.
I have no cereal at home, I may go up to $3. You know what I mean? That's the value that I place on cereal. But we tend to buy coffee when it's on sale. And for
Yeah.
us, it used to be we could buy coffee on sale for $7. And I'm talking about like the big tins of like chock full of nuts. But right now, I just paid $10 for the big cans of Folgers because that's the best price I've seen in the last 3 months because coffee prices are going up. So I'm
Yeah.
just saying that like I have kind of limits. Like I don't want to pay more than $1.99 a pound for chicken breasts. Just I have like different price points in my mind. And if I can't find them, I would just go without or substitute other things for it. So
Yeah.
I get that that's definitely not the norm. But in this day and age, anyone can whip out their phone, and the majority of us have either a grocery store app or the Walmart app where you can check prices at your local store.
Yeah.
So part of this, now this is a class action, and they're going to have to prove that the average person cares about the price difference, that a reasonable person expects them to be truly honest with this elsewhere pricing tactic. And then they also have to, I just think it's going to be a lot of barriers here because there is a lot of information available to someone who's willing to look it up. So just because you're not willing to look it up, does that mean that they can't use this pricing strategy?
That's a
I
good
mean, I
question.
do think it's deceptive because they're not stating where the numbers come from. It's obviously not, major retailers. And of course, they're not going to necessarily reflect sale prices at other locations.
Yeah.
But what does the average consumer, what would they expect that pricing to be? Now, Walmart's prices don't typically change a whole bunch. So if Grocery Outlet compared all their prices to Walmart, I would say that that's probably a pretty good standard.
Yeah.
But
That's static. Yeah.
traditionally speaking, though, Walmart is cheaper on a lot of things compared to most other stores. And
Yeah.
from doing my own price comparisons all over the US, I can tell you that Grocery Outlet has never been the cheapest, not even by a hair. Like, I mean, we're talking, they consistently are like upper middle, highest prices. So that also comes to the expectation, do Grocery Outlet customers really think that they're getting the best deal?
And that's a good point too. So like if you've shopped there enough, you know what's more expensive. Like Publix,
Yeah.
for instance. There's
Yeah.
so little that I buy staple wise, fruit and vegetable wise, that's not pre-cut. I don't know why. They're pre-cut, top tier. Like if I'm going in for a bag of apples, not
Because
so
they
great.
have little
I don't know.
produce fairies that cut it up and put it into packages for you. But
Then make it okay.
that brings up another thing as
But
well.
yeah,
Do you remember Big Lots back in the day? They used to like be the lowest price on tons of things. Like it was a great deal. But then towards the
yeah,
end of Big Lots life, they were so much higher than even like a pharmacy, you know what I mean? Like a Rite Aid or a
yes,
Walgreens, which I always think of as much higher than grocery stores.
yes,
They were
the
even
highest
higher
price
than
point.
them. Like it was insane how much they were willing to charge at Big Lots. And
Yeah.
so, even though that's a quote unquote discount retailer, and so with Grocery Outlet also being a discount grocery store, I also feel like it's kind of tricky in its nature to begin with because honestly, yes, they have some good deals, but I would say the majority of their prices are not great to begin with.
It's kind of like when we look at Dollar General and how I feel like their regular priced items are like maybe on par and in some cases higher than I
Yeah.
would anticipate at like a big box store, right?
Well,
But if you have coupons for things in their stores, best deal you'll find around. You just have to shop specifically.
yeah.
And I'm not familiar with grocery outlets, so maybe it's like that in a
I
way,
will
but
say that if you were shopping just deals at Grocery Outlet, you could probably get some great prices. But if you were going there with your entire grocery list for the whole week, you are not saving a bunch of money at all. So let us know down below. A, have you been affected by grocery outlet? 2, are you also a little concerned about this so and so elsewhere pricing? Like, where is elsewhere? And what do you think about their pricing in general? Do you agree that grocery outlet tends to be higher priced anyway? Let us know down below.